Tim DTV. It's variety, the real footage show. Tim Davis.
And now, here is show number 40 of The Real Footage Show with Tim Davis. Take it away, Tim.
And thank you, Mr. Cuddles, for the very nice introduction. Hello, and welcome to the 40th episode, the 40th edition of The Real Footage Show with me, Tim Davis. And today we are going to be talking about TV updates and more. This is a updated video for some of my other videos of things that have happened over the years that need to be updated or new information has come out about them. So we are going to be discussing some things, mostly Nickelodeon-related subjects within this video. Nickelodeon, as everybody knows, is a classic channel over the years for children's cartoons and series for young adults, as well as its nighttime programming block known as Nick at Night. And in the year 2015, I made a video on YouTube about nothing but Nickelodeon. And the whole video was dedicated to Nickelodeon and Nick at Night. And we talked about its classic days and its evolution throughout the years. And there were some things in that video that were mentioned that have been updated since then, and some other things I'd like to re-mention as well. This logo behind me here, this Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards logo, this was a sign that I purchased at a store many years ago, and I liked it because it's when you see something like this, it's not something you see every day in a store. So I was able to purchase this. This was at a record store that was in my area. They had some other pop culture merchandise that was for sale, and this was one of them. And in the video in 2015, at the time I couldn't think off the top of my head of what year that this logo was made from. And this logo here, this logo design was from the 2005 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards show. That was from 2005. And also, speaking of Nickelodeon, in that video I also mentioned that the time capsule that was put together by Nickelodeon in 1992 was moved to a different location after Nickelodeon Studios moved or shut down its operations in the 2000s, and the Nickelodeon Studios time capsule that was originally placed there at the studios back in 1992. When the studios closed in the early or mid 2000s, the time capsule was moved to the another location at the time, which was the Nickelodeon Inn, Suite and Resorts, which was also in the Florida area. And since the time that video was made in 2015, the time capsule has also again been put into another location as well, because since that video was made, the Nickelodeon Inn, Suite and Resorts in Florida changed names and closed. So the time capsule was removed and put into the Nickelodeon Animation Studios in Burbank, California. So the this is a photo of from what the time capsule looked like when it was on the ground at Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida, back in the 1990s. This says that do not open until April 30 of 2042, and the time capsule contained items that were important to the kids of 1992. So even though this has moved different locations over the years, it is currently at the Animation Studios in Burbank, California, and will be open in April of 2042, and we'll get a chance to see all the interesting artifacts and things that were put in there that were important to kids of the early 1990s. Also with Nickelodeon, over the years, there has been an increase in popularity for retro shows that the network was airing in the 1990s and so on. And over the years, on social media and whatnot, or on YouTube, interest has been shown to the network that people want to see those shows again. And when I made that video in 2015 about Nickelodeon, years leading up to that and years after it, it became so popular that Nickelodeon decided to give viewers what they wanted. And on the Teen Nick channel, which is a spin-off channel of Nickelodeon, during their early evening and overnight block, they made a section of shows from cartoons that used to air and series used to air on Nickelodeon, and it was originally known as the 90s or All That, which was a name. All That was a show that was originally on Nickelodeon back in the 1990s, and the first name of the block was the 90s or All That. It then was rechanged to the Splat, which is in reference to Nickelodeon's famous Splat logo. Then it was renamed again to Nick Splat, and as this video is being made, it is now known as Nick Rewind. And it features various cartoons that were popular on the network back in the day, like Hey Arnold and Ren and Stimpy, as well as Doug and Rugrats. And I find it interesting that when we made that video in 2015, that the popularity, not so much from our video probably on YouTube, but just the fact that so many people would love to see those shows again, so they actually took that into consideration and made a programming block on another network for it. Nickelodeon, very famous and known over the years for its animated cartoon series, its other programs too, as well as like You Can't Do That on Television and Mr. Wizard's World, and its popular animated series like Rugrats, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Danny Phantom. And its overnight programming block, known for shows like Taxi and The Munsters and Family Ties, a classic network for both young and old alike, a little bit for everybody. But Nick at Night was a very interesting place, and still is, for reruns and for shows for children and young adults as well. Another thing to update too is that since the 1990s and into the 2010s, there was a popular program on the network called Nick News with Linda Ellerby. And Linda Ellerby was a journalist, and she would have a news show that was on the network for children, speaking to children, getting them informed on topics, things that were going on that were important to them in the world at the time. This show debuted in 1992 and ran throughout the entire decade of the 90s, for the rest of the 90s, and into the 2000s and even into the 2010s. In its later days, the show was on less on the air, but it still was airing like monthly or whatever. But coincidentally, that in the year that the video was made, the Nickelodeon video that I made for my YouTube channel was made in 2015. Later that year, in December of 2015, Nick News aired its final episode and went off the air for the very last time. So at the time that I made that video, Nick News was still airing, but later that year, it was taken off the air after being on since 1992. And another thing, too, to mention as well, I'm trying to think here about these Nickelodeon updates. Nickelodeon and all networks seem to update stuff quite often, and I don't know if it's because of ratings or if it's also because of, like me, they might have like an OCD syndrome or something where they constantly have to be changing stuff. Obsessive compulsive disorder. I don't know what it is, but most networks seem like they can't keep things the same anymore, and they're always changing things around. But it seemed to me like a lot of the shows from yesteryear that were on the networks had more longevity in them and were aired more than the stuff mostly of today. I don't know why that is, but it's probably a ratings thing. But another thing to mention too, that Double Dare, the classic show that was on Nickelodeon in the 80s and 90s, had many revivals over the year. And in November of 2016, the 30th anniversary reunion special of Double Dare aired on Nickelodeon during the Nick at Night programming block. And this aired in November of 16 and was so popular that Nickelodeon and Mark Summers, who was the host of the show for many years, decided to revamp the show yet again, because it was revamped again in like the early 2000s and whatnot. But Double Dare was brought back on the air in the summer of 2018. Mark Summers was on it as well as a new host, and the show regained another audience again as well. But it was very interesting how that show was brought back. So all these little updates of Nickelodeon have changed since I made that video in 2015. I just wanted to share those updates with you. A few other things I'd like to mention too on some of my videos. In the video I made for the TV Land Award show that's on my YouTube channel, there's some things at the 2005 award show. I forgot to mention in the video that the Carol Burnett show won an award, and most of the cast was there to accept it, including Carol Burnett and Tim Conway, Harvey Korman, Lionel Wagner, Vicki Lawrence, They were there to accept that. Also, during the 2010 TV Land Award show, or excuse me, the 2012 TV Land Award show, the house band for that night's entertainment was the B-52s. And if you're not familiar with them, they are the band that does the popular pop song Love Shack. They were popular in the 80s and into the 90s. They were the entertainment for that night's show. And in 2016, during the TV Land Icon Awards, the band that was at that show was the Beach Boys. The popular Beach Boys group was there for that. Another thing I'd like to mention, too, another video I made for the Coach TV series, a show with the football coach and all that, with Shelley Fabre and Craig T. Nelson. In that video, I mentioned that Shelley Fabre, in the show, was a magazine writer, and I mixed that up with something else. She actually is a TV news reporter. She works for a TV station in that series. And another update, too, I'd like to mention is some of my stained glass videos that I have made on YouTube that show the stained glass pieces I collected over the years. I mentioned that I used to have, years ago, a stained glass flower pot that was about this big, and I don't know what happened to it, but it's been misplaced, and I can't find it. Well, since this video has been made, I still can't find it, but I'll keep looking for it, and if I do, I will show it in a video. And there was another piece I also, I think, failed to mention, too, in that, is that I also had a little tiny nightlight that was shaped like a goldfish bowl. And the glass that shaped the goldfish bowl nightlight was of a clear texture, and there was an orange stained glass goldfish that was soldered onto the side to make it look like it was swimming within the bowl. I don't know what happened to that as well. One time it actually came apart, it broke, and I wasn't able to put it back together, so it probably just got lost somewhere or pushed to the side or whatever. But if I ever do come across the stained glass flower pot and the stained glass goldfish nightlight, I will share them with you. But until then, I just wanted to make this video to update you on some of the things, especially for Nickelodeon, for the Nickelodeon TV channel. Because some of the stuff since that video was made, since that original Nickelodeon video that I made on my YouTube channel, a lot of stuff has been changed by the networks instead, whether if it was shows or things that have came, like reunion specials or whatnot. So I just want to update some of those things for you in that. And also Mr. Cuddles, who was one of the characters that I never really featured in any of my videos, but he was shown in my 5 years on YouTube video. He's a character in reference to a YouTuber that made humorous videos over the year, Randy. Those are in memory of him, and I just wanted to. He got his on-screen debut in this video for me tonight. So thank you, Mr. Cuddles, for introducing me. But if you like this video or like to see other stuff like this, I do a wide variety of other videos on my YouTube channel that are TV, DVD reviews, entertainment, and other variety of topics of things that I collect or want. And you can follow along and see all my videos on my YouTube channel, Tim1TV. And if you would like to, you could also add me as a friend on Facebook, Tim Davis, Tim D Productions, and you could follow me along. As I also share a lot of interesting entertainment stuff on there as well. So for the Real Footage Show, this is the 40th edition of the show. This is number 40. And I also like to say, too, that since the last time I made a video, which wasn't too long ago, I had 69 subscribers, and since then my channel has gone up to 74 subscribers. So welcome and thank you to all the new subscribers who have subscribed to my channel. Again, if you'd like, feel free to leave comments and I'll reply as soon as I can. And you could also see all my other videos on my YouTube channel as well. So for the Real Footage Show, this has been show number 40, updates, TV updates and more. And this is Tim Davis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, my friends.